All right. Recording in progress. Well, I'm super excited for being here with you, Diane. So thank you for coming on board and having this conversation with me and see where we go today with this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes. So originally this all started, for those of you that are listening, I've known Diane for quite a few years when you used to live in back east Toronto, Ontario
Yes.
area, and I would see you every so often, and then of course pandemic and all these things happened. And when my husband and I decided to go to Mexico for my 60th birthday, I had a girlfriend that moved down to Mazatlan, and that's why we chose Mazatlan. Was Pamela had moved down to Mazatlan about a year ago. And then it was Irene who, when I posted on Facebook that I was going to Mazatlan, Irene had said, "Did you know that Diane and her husband moved down there?" I'm like, "What?" So that's when I reached out to you, and it was such a pleasure being able to see you in Mazatlan.
It was so fun. What a great
So
gift to be able to spend time with you.
So fun, so fun. And for those of you that are admiring my scarf, Diane bought that for my 60th birthday, so I had to wear it today.
Pretty. Yes.
So pretty. So thank you. So I'm just going to introduce a little bit about talk about your bio, and then we'll get into a conversation. This actually really started when we had such an amazing conversation on my birthday in Mazatlan. I had mentioned to Diane that my GPS group is reading this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And you had mentioned to me that you've read that, and you had mentioned that you also had did some of his seminars in education, certification, I think it was.
So my husband and I actually had just recently come back from Colombia. We were in Latin America. We went to his full advanced retreat, which is a 7-day advanced retreat. So we can also go into that, which also I can share a little bit about that journey and how it also gets incorporated through the book, and also a couple other things I would love to share as well too that I think would be valuable for your group as well.
Oh, beautiful. I'm excited. So thank you, Diane. So let me read to the ladies that are listening or anyone that's listening, because I'm going to send this recording to you and you're welcome to share it. So Diane is an inspirational author, wellness influencer, creative entrepreneur. Yes, you are a resilient woman in business. She's been writing under her, well, I guess a name that came up from when you were 11 years old, Lucy, right? So neat. So you've been writing under Lucy Smiles for 16 years, sharing your heartfelt perspective on how to truly tap into the blessings of life with her online column she puts out multiple times throughout the month. Diane has also spent the last 8 years focused on supporting tens of thousands of people around the globe to create a strong foundation of wellness through learning the power of what we are fueling our bodies through the power of ketones. And you've been doing that for 8 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. In essence, her focus promotes sustainable health, which is important, habits to create a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial vibrant lifestyle building community. That is, what are we here on this planet for?
Exactly. To
Right?
build. Absolutely.
Yeah, and in my GPS program, we often talk about, well, especially with this book, especially with this book, we're talking about the humanness of who we are and how society, we believe, has sort of guided us in one way, and how understanding who we are more than ever. I love the title of Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So true. In my younger years, I could see so many crazy decisions I made that did not serve me, right?
Yeah. Be careful what your words are.
Yes, I know. I know.
Fabulous lessons of our younger years, right? And we still
True.
many more to come. I'm sure. I'm sure of that. So
And in saying that, you're absolutely right. Be careful of our words, because isn't that the truth?
yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, where do we want to start, Cheryl? I'm an open book. I've got my book. I would love to just dialogue, share my insights. If you have any questions, one of the things I wanted to share just from the beginning, is it's interesting when you say, like, so the subtitle of the book is How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. And I think that's the most important thing around this whole book. And also, I'll share that I do his newly launched morning and evening meditations. Dr. Joe Dispenza has some amazing meditations on publicly on his website. And the newly formed ones that just launched last week, many people could hear them, the older versions on YouTube. But the morning and evening meditations are fabulous. And the new one that he just relaunched with new music and just it's a newly launched one. It's almost like it's 30 plus minutes of all of the book.
Wow.
So I just wanted to share that with you, and you could put that in the comments on your group. But I literally just got out of it an hour ago, and it's so profound, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, this doesn't have to be complicated, right? Like, this is actually my husband's book, and it's kind of crazy because he's more analytical than I am. But you don't have to be analytical to really get what this book can do for you. So.
So good, so good. And sometimes people like meditation. I'm not, I am one that hasn't practiced meditation. And the more I evolve myself, the more I'm like, Cheryl, it'd be good to look at that, because how do I know what I am missing if I don't do it?
It's interesting. And to kind of piggyback off of that, when I was in Colombia with Dr. Joe, and we did probably 35 hours of meditation plus 50 plus hours of the science around why it works. One of the things that he says that really is meaningful and practical is, once you know what you get from it, why wouldn't you do it? So I just would like to, encourage those that are reading the book, those that you're working with guiding. It is outstanding what you get from even like a 30-minute meditation, even if it's a 5-minute meditation. There's some science and magic there that really is what the book is all about, right?
So true. And then, we were talking in one of my groups this morning how one of the ladies mentioned, when I moved to Canada, it was back in the day when meditation was woo woo, right? And so we had a discussion about that, and it's fascinating how the world dictates or comes up with these rules, if you want to say that was woo woo, when really science is proving that meditation could advance us so much more. And so our judgment and assumption of something woo-woo could absolutely be the one thing that we may just change our life, change our world.
Exactly. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, just to put it into context, is the largest global meditation case study around how meditation can heal you. So this is not, it could have been woo woo back in the 1950s or whatnot, but when you really actually dive into the science around it and what he's actually doing, case studies and doing the neuro connection science at his events where he's showing brain scans, and I've seen them, and it's epic. But watching, and again, I'm not here to make medical claims, very careful, but just to give you context of what you can find under his resources online, is that he is seeing people going into like the 7-day retreat that I was in, the advanced retreat, with things like stage 4 cancer, and coming out with their brain scans and with their body scans showing nothing the same. So that's kind of important. So meditation is great for everyday feeling calm. Like, I feel more calm because I did my morning meditation, but there's so much more depth to it. And I really believe that it's time for us to take a deeper look at it as a collective. Really,
Absolutely. Well, how long have you been doing meditation? Whether
so
it's just
Yeah, so I'm not one of those, like every hour, every morning an hour, every night an hour. I've been introduced and playing around with meditation for many years, but it was since going to and again, you don't have to go and go to his retreat, but it was ever since kind of tapping into the science around what it really can do. So since January, it's been more of a practice for me. But through the last, I've been in personal development and kind of on that path, probably for around 18 years or so, like 18 or 19 years. And I've always known that meditation was really powerful, but I never took it seriously. So I don't really believe that it's too late, right, to meditate. I think that we're all on our own journey. But if you could do any type of, tapping in and silencing the mind, guided meditations, I do guided meditations with Dr. Joe. So I'm not sitting for an hour on my own. I did though, actually back in 2008, I almost forgot about this. Maybe it's because it's so traumatic, I did an 10-day silent meditation in Merritt, BC,
Oh, mhm.
the Vipassana. So I did that for 10 days, and that was definitely epic. But you don't have to do that to get the power of meditation. It could be a 5 minute online on YouTube. I mean, everything is available. We live in this, highly technical, society. You don't have to be on your own doing it, and find what works for you. If 30
Mhm.
minutes is too much for you, start with 5, right? So,
Yeah, it's start. It's the starting. Just start. And if you want to do, you start with a guided one, then you're following along, which is I don't do it a lot, so I'm coming from my belief is that the more you do that, the more easier it can become. Like anything, you go to the gym, the first few times you feel awkward if you haven't gone to the gym before or in a long time, and your muscles are a little sore or whatever. It's all in the action that we take towards what we're doing. So you
and you
could
can
set a timer for 5 minutes if you wanted to, and then if you go, I want to do it more than 5 minutes, then you can do it more than 5 minutes, right?
you could do guided meditation all the time. Like I do, my meditation is Dr. Joe meditations, right? So I do some that are part of like the advanced course, like in our website, and there's other ones on that are public that are an hour and a half. Like there's one really, really great one. I say explore it and try it out. It's called The Alchemist. It's so outstanding. And
Mm.
that's going to be a little bit longer than the morning and evening one. There's another couple that I want to actually just kind of shout out on his website. They're only like 20-30 bucks. They're for lifetime. You can download them on 3 different devices. So there's one called Higher Love, which is for couples. And Anthony and I would do it together. Like we would just sit on the beach or in our living room with our dogs, and we would just put it on our own headset. And it's only 30 minutes. So that one is really great. There's another very simple one called Loving the Life You Love. And so they're very, very cool guided meditations. So you could be doing guided meditations for the rest of your life. That's the way that I like to meditate. I'm not really one for that, like an hour of silence. For me, I get more out of the guided, right? So again,
Mm.
everyone is different. So
So true. So true. And thank you for saying that, because sometimes for me, I have that little bit of a block that, what am I going to sit there and meditate on? So maybe just by you saying use the guided meditation would totally be a lot easier to do.
yeah, and it's profound because you're going to get a different experience, right? So and I mean, like I just go back to, if I was going to tell anyone to get started on anything, it would be the morning and evening meditation. It's so simple. It's actually so powerful how he goes through and because we're here for this book, the morning and evening. So we'll go talk about the morning one. It's literally this book in 30 minutes. It talks about how he is getting rid of the old programs and how we're creating new transmitters and changing those, just changing your brain. And so it was actually so powerful this morning. And then Anthony and I are going to go out for lunch later and talk about like what we saw in our meditation. So I also
Mm.
believe that having what you're doing and bringing people together as a group is so important, because then you're able to really kind of identify and help yourself to bring out those things that you're feeling, and to have those opportunities to speak to other people about like their experience, right? Because every time we go into a meditation, we're a different person when we come out, and then tomorrow I'm a different person going in. So it's very powerful, and it's not complicated. It's just literally, what are you focusing on in the past? How has it not served you? How easy it is for us to do the same thing over and over again every single day. I mean, even for myself, walking my dogs, I have to consciously say, don't turn that way again. Go somewhere else. Go to a different street.
Mm.
And even doing that, I can feel my body change. I can feel my energy change when I'm not looking at the same thing over and over again, because we always want to be familiar. We want to be safe. We want to have everything familiar. We want to keep everything just the way that it always has been. And that's why a lot of times people don't grow. It takes groups like yours that you put together for Resilient Women in Business. It takes doing GPS book clubs. It takes, creating an environment that you are able to then change what you've been doing into something new. And that is all this is how to get out of the old self with the tools. And then what does that new self look like, and how are you getting there? And so I wanted to just share, not to go on a ramble, but I think it's really important for people to understand a lot of times we have goals, right? So say, for instance, I have business goals, you have business goals. As women in business, we've got these lofty goals. It's one thing to hang around with the right people and to, surround ourselves with the masterminds. But when it comes to goals, the magic of attaining goals has nothing to do with so much as the activity of how to reach it, right? So, if I want to build $1 million empire, how many people do I need to speak with in a week? So, the attrition and all of those things are fun practicals. But at the end of the day, when it comes to what do you want to attain in your life, as call it a goal or a vision, the most important thing is, and this is what Dr. Joe teaches, which is so powerful, is what are your intentions with that goal, right? And then the other part of it is what are the elevated emotions that you have whenever that goal is attained. And if you were to just look at those two things, it's so much easier. And then the practical component will just come automatically almost, right? Yes, you can't just sit around and wait for the red car. It doesn't happen. The law of attraction has a couple more steps than that. Right?
Yes.
I think that's where a lot of people kind of got a little bit lost. Like, if I just want the Corvette, I'm like, well, it's not, there's a couple more steps. But you really have to be in that frequency. And that's what Dr. Joe talks a lot about, is like, what is the frequency? What is the elevated emotion of what those intentions are? Like, why do you want what you want? Right? So you can want the Corvette, but do you want the Corvette because you want to, it could be very different reasons for certain people. I don't personally love Corvettes. I'm not really a big car girl. But in my own business and why I am doing this work, and in my own passion as Lucy Smiles, and in my passion with building my global community, my reasons and my intentions could be completely different from the next woman beside me whose vision is just as important, just as lofty, just as, relevant, but her intentions and how she wants to feel around it can be completely different. Right. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, we're all diverse as the humanness of who we are, and we all have our own desires in why. I mean, that's why there's people out in the world that love to volunteer, and they will do that full time because they love, that's their passion, and that's how they want to serve. And then there's others like that's not me. I rather give cash to charities and etc. versus my time because I'm focused on business, and that's where I shine, right? So we're all so different. And so whatever our dream is, and I love that. It's so true. We need to know the why. We don't need to know how it's going to happen, because I think when we attach ourselves, like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, when he talks about his desire statement.
Exactly. It's my favorite
Right?
book. I had it out last night. I've done
Yeah.
mastermind. That is like, it's the principles, right? It's the
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So when we, like in my GPS groups, it's fascinating, really. And this is because it's the humanness, not to diss any women in the group, but it's the humanness of who we are. I've educated them on the desire statement, and some are still blocking themselves to get it done. Right. And it's taking that step, even if it's not good. It doesn't have to be good the first time, because as we evolve as a human being, and the more we read our desire statements out loud with incantation, meaning with passion and desire, and oh yes, this is what I want, and this is what my intention to get this much money. This is how I'm going to serve, or I'm going to give back. And every time we read that, just like every time you meditate, you can become a different person, and you will see things differently. It's like the first time we read this book, we get a lot of insights. The second time we read the book, we're not the same person the first time we read the book. So we're going to get different insights the second time we read it.
And it is almost like the Think and Grow Rich book, because you can't just read the book, you have to do the book. And that's the same thing with this. Like, at the end, there are the meditations, like we can't, and again, it's so important that you're not keeping things as theory. You're actually getting out there and you're actually experimenting with the work, right? Because even like you said, I have my desire statement, my statement of purpose. I have it in my binder. I read it every morning. I say it out loud. I do my, I'm super into the Think and Grow Rich book. I've been in it, for many, many years. But then even with the Dr. Joe work, it's the same type of work, just different mentor and different, it's not even different. And so, but both of them are doing the same thing for me. So I have a whiteboard, and I would love to share it if it would help the group. My
Yes.
whiteboard, do you mind?
No, I don't mind at all. Absolutely.
I love practical stuff. I was going to
You
say the other.
totally. Yeah.
I want to just kind of share what it looks like. I feel like I'm in a classroom whenever I used to be like 6 years old and pretend that I had a class in front of my
Oh, right.
So I'll share with you, like, just in general, because it's part of his books, right? So it's part of the meditation around, like, how are you really understanding what your intentions, like, what does it look like? How are you feeling during the day? Like, what are you wearing? Who are you talking to? And so also, and then first getting rid of the stuff that's not helping you grow. So this is actually from his Becoming Supernatural, but it's the same thing in this book as well. And it's the same thing that he does in his morning meditation around creating the elevated emotion and the intention. So for me, like, and I've had this since January, that I created this since January. I don't have to go through all of it, but it's tuning into new potentials. And it is, so instead of figuring out, like, how many people do I need to talk to, or how do I build my social media, what it really is what is the letter that is associated. And he has an amazing story about his son. I should find it for you. It's outstanding. His son Jace, his story of how he attracted the dream job. And so for me, with L, that for me resonates with Lucy Smiles. It also resonates with Legend, which is the top in my business with Prove It. So it's the Legend is the top of the company. And then for me, love is also part of the L. So the L for me is Lucy Smiles, Legend, and love. So this is, and then what he literally tells you to put these, squiggly lines around it for the energy, the frequency. And so he says, okay, so this is what you want, right? Why? Like, why do you really want it? So for me, I literally put, time freedom, right? And it could be different for everyone. I put 8-figure plus income annually, leading global teams, automated business, helping thousands of people and families grow financially free, building automated community, financial literacy, giving back to rescue animals, vibrant health, conscious partnerships, free-flowing business expansion, simple systems, that kind of thing. So those are my intentions. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing every day? Why do I get up with purpose? Why do I give a crap to meditate? And then once I do attain these, how am I going to feel, right? Because it's like you said, with the desire statement, you have to say it with an elevated emotion. You can't just say, like, oh, I, Diane Lauzon, want to create an 8-figure business income. You have to feel it. Your body can hear what you're feeling. Like, it actually feel it. So the elevated emotions for me is, how do I want to feel? I want to have love of life, right? That's important to me. I want to feel exhilarated, grateful, limitless, free, in awe, mystical, whole, vibrant, full of joy, purposeful, worthy, powerful, peaceful, calm, and pleasantly surprised. So, like, for me, one of the biggest things, and a lot of my girlfriends know this, and they still text me in the morning, what are the pleasant surprises awaiting you today? Because they that's how I live my life. And I even said it to my girlfriend, Diane from Kelowna. She lives in Motherland. This friend, like, I'm so excited for you to share the pleasant surprises that await you today. And so why wouldn't you want it? And it's just like Dr. Joe says, if you know what you get when you meditate, why wouldn't you? Like, and okay, maybe you don't meditate on Monday morning because you're tired. Maybe you went to a football game on Sunday. Oh well, then do it on Monday night, or do it Tuesday. Don't not do it because you didn't do it. I'm intermittent with my meditation. I have one of my girlfriends, her and her husband are in Dubai, and we do coaching together. She meditates every single day. And when we meet every couple of weeks with our coach, with our Dr. Joe coach, she says, one thing that I've done ever since coming back from Colombia is I've never missed a meditation. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like in awe of her. And I also know that for her, she's very methodical, and she's very rigid with her goals. So that's why she does it. She says, maybe she's like, I get through it just because I know I have to. And so that's great, right? For me, I'm not 100% consistent, but it allows me to look at myself and say, why is that? Like, why am I not consistent? Yeah. And I think that that's the most important thing, that this book, to just really circle back, is what he wants to do is he wants you to start to be conscious of your decisions. He wants you to start to take a look at what you're doing, right? He wants you to start to take a look at how you're feeling during the day. What are you saying yes to? And so for me, the whole, even me not consistently meditating is part of my growth, is part
Mm-hmm.
of my upgrading, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't beat myself up because I missed Sunday morning. I say, wow, that's so interesting. What did I allow in my morning that was more important than me giving to myself? And so, like cumulatively, I have noticed myself meditate more than I used to, because now I'm being more conscious of taking a look at my day, taking a look at even like my nutrition, taking a look at what time did I go to bed, like all of those things. And then now we're in a more conscious awareness, and that is the work. The work is not to be perfect. The work is to be more consciously aware of what we're doing, how it may not be serving, and how can we replace it with the new self. It's it's epic, right?
It is. It is. It is totally. And that's the same with any goals, any activities we do. The more we're aware of
Yeah.
our thoughts, feelings, everything, I think can really shift us into becoming a better us. I often look in the mirror at myself and say, okay, Cheryl, how do you become a better you tomorrow than you are today? Like, what is it that I need to do to improve myself, my business, my community, whatever that is? And I think consciously is the key. Consciously going, isn't that interesting? Why am I not going to the gym all the time when that's what I wanted to do? Like, isn't that interesting? Why do we go down the same path? Why do we see, if we go to a convention or a conference, why do we sit in the same seat for 3 days? That's third row, third seat in, that's my seat. I remember us doing a conference in Cloverdale one day, and it was a 3-day event. And the instructor had asked everybody to change seats, but one of the guys was already out of the room, so he didn't hear that. Change seats. When you come back from lunch, you're going to sit somewhere different. And this guy came back from lunch and his stuff was moved
Oh,
because we moved everything, right? Got changed seats. And he was upset. He said, "That's my seat." And so we all kind of challenged him on that. Like,
wow.
number one, there was no name on the seat. So isn't that fascinating that
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
get attached to something like that? Like, we just want to feel comfortable. That's mine. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what it is that because we almost have to we almost have to manipulate that reptilian brain because it does want to stay it's the ego, right? And we all, like I always say to people, if we were there, we wouldn't be here. People are like trying to reach enlightenment. I'm like, there's no such thing. It's just we are in this fun meat suit. We get to be in this 3D matrix. We get to, have these amazing experiences, like you said at the beginning of our Zoom, like the almost mistakes but lessons. We're not here to try to be perfect. We're here to just
Mhm.
grow and to experiment. And so for me, I feel like all of this is just an experiment, and it's really fun to give ourselves an opportunity to have a level of awareness of ourselves, whether with our
Yeah.
own self and in our relationships and in our friendships and how we run our business. But I really believe that one of the key things is to not be so stern and not take everything so seriously, because we're also here to play and we're also here to have fun, right? And it's interesting because even Dr. Joe, who's one of honestly the most amazing speakers I've ever met, and I've been around, conferences and stuff like that, and amazing people. But he's chill on stage. He's funny on stage. He's witty on stage. He's making jokes on stage. And so this is like really, really important work. But when you see him in it, and you also hear his stories of, and because I also, one of my coaches is one of his like longest dear friends, and she says, like when Dr. Joe, sometimes we see him have the hardest time to get into the meditation, and then the hardest time to do the work. And he's the one who created the work, right? And so
Mm.
we're all human. We're not, no one should be a guru. No one is on a pedestal just because they're on
Mhm.
stage. And I think that's,
Mhm.
for me, like in doing all of this work and learning about myself, is that just being okay with being imperfect, because you want all
100%.
to be relatable, and he is so relatable. We're not here to be like, look at me and try to get to where I'm at. It's like, no, I just fell. I just had to put a band-aid on. I'm running late. And life is still fun. Right. And so I think it's really important to have to keep the fun in all of this stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, so true. I remember when I first started speaking on stages and doing conference associations and stuff like that and educating. my grammar has never been the best. Like I'm just one of those that the brain just sort of goes certain ways and spells words a certain way. And I used to be so embarrassed with that. I used to allow that to stop me. And then one day it's like I finally woke up and said, does it really freaking matter? If you got a message, Cheryl, to help somebody shift their world, does it matter if the word is spelt incorrectly? No. So I got over myself and I start laughing about it. Now, if I have a spelling error in my PowerPoints, I love it when somebody says, "Oh, by the way, Cheryl, you spelt, there, the wrong there," or whatever it is, right? Or pale or file or whatever the word is. I'm like, "Oh, thank you for letting me know because I didn't see it." So thank you. Why are we judging ourselves, like in that respect, or comparing ourselves to another? The world needs all of us, as
Exactly.
diverse as we are. There's no perfect human being on this planet. So why are we attempting to be somebody else when we're here to be ourselves?
Exactly. No, 100%. And I think that, like you said, somewhere along the line in this conversation is how can I be even better tomorrow? Like just being in, comparing ourselves to ourselves, right?
Mm.
And not comparing ourselves so much to ourselves that we beat ourselves up for being not as good as we were yesterday. It's just, I think it's really just like loosening the reins on what it means to be human. And I do believe, and we talked about this at dinner, is like it is really important who your influences are. It really is important the conversations that not you're having, but you're allowing in your
Mm.
energy vibration. Like, really truly. And I will speak to the women because we're here, as resilient women in business. There are so many women out there that want to raise people up, find those women and raise them up. Like we're not
Mhm.
here to just do other people favors. We want to be also, recognized, and being helped as well too along the way. And I believe that women will change the world. I love
Oh,
men all day long. I'm not a feminist. I'm not, and any of that. But like even the top leaders in the world will say women have got it going on. So the more we can raise each other up as women, it's just it's epic. It's profound. So
is so profound. So amen to that, sister, because I absolutely love that. I really truly believe that God called me to build resilient women in business to allow women to step into their brilliance. Am I perfect? No, but I can tell you, am I really good at inspiration? Yes. Am I good at motivation? Yes. Am I good at education? Yes. So those are the tools that I bring to women to support them. And I had a conference just at the beginning of May. And I got to tell you, Diane, this was the first conference. I've done 3 on my own, and this is the first one that I allowed intuition, God messaging me the whole entire thing. So I first booked the date. It was supposed to be the end of May. And then for some reason, I changed it to the beginning of the May. And then, of course, I was in Mexico the end of March. And then I thought to myself, oh my goodness, my mind chatter started happening so much. I had to kick it to the curb so many times. It kept telling me, you don't have enough time to market it. You don't blah, blah, all this BS. And so I had to keep kicking it to the curb. But there was magic that happened in that room. Women are still coming to me and talking about it. That was one of the best conferences they've ever been to. And it's because I said, God, what is supposed to happen at this conference? Like, give me some insights. And so I heard level up and I heard get into their greatness. So I heard those two. So then I thought, okay, am I supposed to do the whole event myself? The first two, I did the whole event myself. This one, like in the mean of speaking or education, who else am I supposed to share the stage with? So the first name dropped in, connect with Christine Aram. So I did. And she said yes to me immediately. She goes, I love who you are, Cheryl. You are such a giver. And absolutely, I will. You let me know how I can serve your tribe. And it's like, wow, that was awesome. And then the second one, I was going, okay, Lord, what is the agenda supposed to be like? And what was the word I heard? Blanked out on the word. Anyways, the word, when I think about that word, I think about Kelly Mabel. So Kelly Mabel came to the conversation because she educates all about innate wisdom, about the inner conversations and some really great, yummy, deep stuff, right? And so I reached out to her and she said yes. And then I got a no, I usually get a, like, it's a tap on my shoulder. That's what I call when I ask, I usually get a little tap. And so the third one was 2 weeks before the conference, 2 weeks out. And I heard that magic needed to be in the room. This is so crazy. And I needed to reach out to Mika. And so I reached out to Mika, and she says, "Oh my gosh, Cheryl, I will do whatever you want me to. I love your spirit. I love your soul. I love your heart. And I would love to serve your community. Just let me know what I can do." So we jumped on a Zoom, and we talked about, sort of the theme of the conference. And because I know she's so diverse in what she can educate on. So we talked about that. And I said, "So Mika, what do you think you would like?" She asked me, "Cheryl, what would you like me to do?" And I said, "Honestly, this whole conference, the agenda is wide open because it's built on intuition, downloads." So I said, "You can speak about anything." And so all I heard her say was blah, blah, blah. I can't even remember the word she used, but my eyes started to water. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's perfect." Like, it just moved me. And
Oh,
then she told me, "Cheryl, did you know my middle name is Magic?"
oh, come on. Oh
I
my
went, "Get out. I've been saying magic is going to
God.
be in the room and you're the magic." I said, "No way." She goes, "Yeah, my parents are very hippie-ish, so my middle name is Magic."
So crazy.
Yeah. And I love this too, because this is all about listening. This is all about being guided. So the day, and she told me this after the conference, the day before, she's in the big mastermind of Tony Robbins, the platinum level. And one of the coaches said to her, "Mika, it's time for you to get back on stage." The day before I reached her,
So beautiful.
I was her first phone call. "Mika, would you like to come and speak at my event?" She
Wow.
didn't tell me that until after the conference. I'm like, I love that. See, we're all a piece of a puzzle and somehow we fit together. We got to get out of our stinking thinking.
True. And the other thing I want to share just about that actual story with her, as I was thinking about certain things I wanted to share while we were having this conversation, is the synchronicities that happen when
Yes.
you start to tap into the unknown.
Mm.
That is, and again, I don't know if she meditates, I don't know, but like, I want to go back to like this book is it was profound, the synchronicities that happened even being in Colombia, like how we met this couple from Dubai that are now dear friends, and like just all these different things and how we would meet the same people and the opportunities that came into my life right after without trying. Like I literally, and Anthony would be like, "Wow, like what is happening?" And I said, it's the void, it's the unknown. And so it's amazing. And it's almost like you can't make it up. It's almost like someone
Yeah.
wouldn't believe. Like we would be saying at the conference, like people would believe it if we shared this with them because it just sounds like it's not even true. Right. And so, and since then in my own life, like I shared a couple of things with you that the personal stuff around some other inner work that I'm doing that just came into my lap and like people that showed up and then synchronistic, like timely things just keep on popping up into my life. And all that I have done is I have been more conscious of getting into the unknown, where the divinity lies, where the opportunity, where the tuning into the new potentials lie. And all it takes is meditation. And all it takes is, and again, it just takes changing those neurotransmitters that are keeping you safe and there's nothing wrong with being safe, but we're not all being chased by a saber-toothed tiger anymore. We're not
Mhm.
in cavemen. We're not looking to, hunt and gather. Like we're pretty for the most part, how blessed we are to be fine. But a lot of times whenever we're just like running ragged and not taking that time to really be more conscious, we're missing out on a lot of the magic, truly, right? So
Mm.
it's a gift to ourselves to allow ourselves to shine. And I'll even take it one step further because I think, the work that you do, the work that I'm doing, many of these women who are here to, create the ripple effect through their craft and through their gift is only, this work is only allowing us to shine brighter for the collective. So it's not about us, right? Even one of my mentors had said many, many years ago, and I think about this all the time when I get into my own way and I, hide and is he says, if you're making this about you, you've forgot the point. Like you're missing the point.
Mm.
You're making it
Mm.
about you. We're like, oh, because it's not only about us, right? Like we're here to serve, whether it is money. Like I love giving, money to things, but I also love, rescuing dogs on the street. I wouldn't have time to do that if I was in a 9 to 5 and not following my passion as an entrepreneur, being able to choose what I do with my day. If I want to hang out with you on Tuesday at 10, all of those different things come from allowing ourselves to really operate at the highest level for us. And it's different for everyone, right? If you're operating at the highest level means being a mom to your children and not having to work so you could be a mom to your children, like that, I've never had an opportunity to do, right? I think that's the best gift. I'm a mom to my dogs. If they're ill, I don't have to go anywhere. I get to sit on the floor with them, right? So operating at the highest level, and I even talk about this in my business with performance when I'm working with the work that I do with health. Performance is different from everyone. Yes, I work with Olympian athletes, but I do work with moms of twins that, just had their baby and they need performance, which is like not being tired, having, feeding their children. Performance is different. So if you could learn tools like this of how we can perform and operate at a better, higher level over time, then the ripple effect of our gift to the collective is priceless, right? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're actually doing studies now. I saw something about when we do something for another, that's the highest gratitude feeling in the body that serves us the best.
yeah,
So I agree. We're all here to be, that's why I love that saying, we're all a piece of a puzzle and somehow we fit together to make that beautiful picture. Right? Because I agree, we're here to serve whatever that method of serving is. It doesn't matter the method. It's whatever ignites your heart and it just shines right out. Then, yes. Like for me, Resilient Women in Business, I mean, it just launched in 2018, so it's still fairly young. But the way it was birthed is because I listened and I was open. And that's, I think, when we are closed or in negativity and allow our bodies to really go down a rabbit hole, we don't see the door is closed to opportunities and possibilities that we never know what can happen. Like, oh my gosh, Diane, if I didn't go to Mazatlan and post it on Facebook, you and I wouldn't have been here right now. Like, that is beautiful that I posted it. And then Irene says, did you know Diane and her husband are moved down there? Like, what? So how beautiful is that, right?
yeah, amazing. And we are all connected. Like I was walking with my girlfriend. Again, she's from Kelowna, lives in Mazatlan, one of my dearest friends here. And we were walking down the street yesterday, and I said, it's interesting how every single thing is connected. There's not one thing that is not connected to something else. And so I really believe that it's so important that we realize that we're not in a silo, right? Like we shouldn't have to operate in a silo. We're not disconnected. A lot of times emotionally we feel disconnected. So how can we create the tools to come back to connection? And it starts with our own self, right?
Yes.
So
So good. So good, Diane. I just want to thank you so much for being here. I just love the conversation. I think I could talk to you for hours. It was so good. And I love you. I love the work you do. And you are a shining light to this world. That's for sure. So thank you for
the
that.
same about you, because again, I'll just share with your, like, as we close out, I don't even know what time it is. But it was interesting because whenever we were planning on, seeing each other, I went to your Facebook because I like to see like, oh, what have people been up to lately, right? And I also want to find out when their birthday is so I don't miss it. And so I was looking, and the first thing that I noticed was that you had your resilientwomeninbusiness.eventbrite.com. And so I remember, that really resonated with me. So one of the first questions that I asked you at dinner was, tell me more about what that is, because I saw that. And so I think it's really important that you, and I'm sure you know, but sometimes it's nice to to reiterate it, is like that really spoke to me. So it's something that obviously women need to hear more of around that, because a lot of times we don't realize that our adversities are our greatest gifts, right? And a lot of times too, and I've been having so many amazing conversations with women the last little while, and it's interesting because a lot of times like our story is what can really heal other women's stories or help them not feel alone and help them feel relatable, right? And so I love the work that you're doing, and however I could be a part of it, share. I was looking at the different locations actually this morning on, where you are and what you've created. And so I really believe in this, it's something that I would love to support for you, because it's not what I want to do. Like that's not, and I think most importantly is we don't have to know everything. We don't have to do everything, but I really believe when you know people that know how to do it, we need to support those people.
Oh, absolutely. Well said. Thank you for that. Yeah, I have one of my members that is actually been with me for about a year and a half. with one of the chapters, and she reached out to me the other day. She goes, Cheryl, I'm considering, I would love to launch another chapter in Surrey. Is there a possibility? And that's the conversation. So I said to her, well, let's get on Zoom and have that conversation. So she's already booked the venue, and she's going for it because she loves what Resilient Women in Business has for her. So I did an interview with her just the other day and sent it out to the database because I'm like, gosh, share why. And she goes, I don't want to do this on my own, but when I'm doing it with others, I feel a part of the bigger picture. And I agree with that. That's exactly it. And so, yeah, there will be, hey, maybe in Mazatlan, there'll be a Resilient Women in Business networking event happening.
Yeah, I don't see why not. We'll have that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Diane. So thank you. Thank you so much. It was so
Thank you.
fun. And for anyone watching this, I would love to hear what you thought of this. You can definitely post a message in this is going to be uploaded to YouTube, but probably unlisted maybe, or should we just make it go live?
Whatever works for you. I mean, hey, you never know. And then I
Yeah.
just wanted to also share, with anyone in your group, these are for your members, is that if anyone ever wants to reach out to me, have any questions, I'm honestly an open book, and I love supporting women with whatever that looks like. So even if you say, hey, what are those, meditations you're talking about, or anything at all, like, I'm honestly here. It's my passion. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to me as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Diane. Thank you for that. All right. Well, Diane and I are going to say goodbye to you for now, and then I'll just stop the recording and her and I will continue on. So have a great week.
Thank you so much.